Hello and welcome. This is Ishan.
This is Susadjan.
And this is Ojas.
Welcome to the Fast Line podcast. You've been to so many countries and then now you're here in Nepal, and plus your work is mostly focused on India and the UAE. Indian football is obviously now on the rise and Nepali football is quite lagging in that aspect. So what do you think should the Nepali Football Federation be focused on to get to the levels of our neighboring country?
Whew. How long have you got for me to answer this question? It's a question that boils my blood as well. First and foremost, put the players first. That's never changed. My opinion, it hasn't changed on that. That's never changed in the history of football. It's always about the players. And I'm sorry, if the president of the Football Association thinks he's the most important person in Nepali football, he's wrong. And he's also an idiot if he doesn't understand that. The players are the most important thing. The second thing I would do, get the players out. And Nepal has had one or two players that have gone out. And I'm not talking about on trial. Trials are bullshit. Yeah? I can go and get you a trial tomorrow if you really want. It's not about trials. Getting a person to go out to another country, especially Europe, and to stay there for a period of time at any level is so important. So important. Now what happens is, it's been surrounded by a culture. So you guys are students, you study, you research. If you are the best student amongst the three of you, but those two are lazy, you're going to drop your standards a little bit to their level. However, if their standards are the same as yours and higher, you're going to raise up to their... Now, the same principle applies in football. If you're surrounded by better players, it pushes you. If you're surrounded by lesser players, you drop down your standards. So getting the players out to places, and I'm not talking about Real Madrid's and Manchester United's, I'm just saying to leagues where the training culture is more intensive, they will come back better players. When they come back to Nepal and play for the national team, they play better. When they play better, they win more games. When they win more games, they rise up through the rankings. When they rise up through the rankings, the kids, the young fans, become more proud of their country and support them more. And then there's this cycle that continues whereby there's some kid who's maybe he's only 10 years old, because he's proud all of a sudden of his country, he's into football, and he turns out to be Nepal's Lionel Messi. Now, if he's not into his country in football, and he prefers cricket or whatever, then he's going to go and play cricket, isn't he? Yeah. So you've lost those players to cricket. So, so that's what I would do. And I think, it's players. It's all about the players.
There's been a lot of speculation about Qatar hosting the Club World Cup and the World Cup. So what are the positives and the negatives of the World Cup being held in the Middle East?
Well, there's only one thing I agreed on Sepp Blatter with, and that is taking the World Cup to new territories. He was right about that. It's the only thing he was right about, but he was right about that. And going to the Middle East was a good idea, but here's the problem. The problem is that Qatar is not the best football fraternity in the Middle East. If you want to go and see full stadiums, there's two Middle Easts. There's the wider region, and let's just focus on the GCC, the Gulf countries. Saudi Arabia has packed out stadiums every weekend. Great league. UAE stadiums, empty. Qatar stadiums, empty half the time. I went to watch Barcelona against Al Hilal, I think it was, of Saudi Arabia. They played an exhibition game in Qatar, and it was sponsored by Qatar Airways because they were Barcelona's sponsor, I think, at the time. The stadium was half empty. And by the way, Iniesta was still in the team, Xavi was still in the team, and obviously Messi. Now, they didn't play the whole 90 minutes, they played a half. But the fact of the matter was, what? The opportunity to see the three greatest players on the planet at that particular point in time, and yes, I am discounting Ronaldo here, and you don't want to turn up. So, coming back to the question, the World Cup, it's got nothing to do with heat and all the rest of it. It's going to be played in November, December. I live in the Middle East. I know what it's like. Temperature's not a problem once they moved it. The stadiums are not a problem, okay? The training facilities are not a problem. The fan parks are not a problem. None of that's a problem, okay? So the hype that's been around it that this is going to be an issue is not a problem. It's not. They have one fundamental issue. Have you ever been to Doha or Qatar? Right. So here's the problem. The World Cup in Qatar, Doha Qatar, Doha, I'm calling them the same thing. They are essentially, it's just one city. The World Cup has been held in one city. And that city is only, I think, I don't think it's even 8 kilometers across. Is it 6 kilometers or 8 kilometers wide? So what comes with that? The problem you have is Doha is filled with 5-star hotels. Where's the issue? The issue is most fans around the globe can't afford to stay in 5-star hotels. I was in South Africa for the World Cup. You need 3-star hotels for the majority of fans, right? Doha has virtually no 3-star hotels. So where are they going to stay? Well, Dubai is the obvious choice because Dubai has an abundance of 3-star hotels, as does Abu Dhabi. What's the problem there? Well, currently we're in this blockade. You can't fly between Qatar and Dubai at the moment because they hate each other. So it's not about all of the things that people think there's going to be an issue with. It's about the logistics of the fans. If you've got, and by the way, a World Cup has tens of thousands of fans coming into a country. Yeah? Where are they going to stay? Do they all have to stay in the bloody Ritz-Carlton? Is that the issue? They've got to come up with a solution to that. And you cannot just all of a sudden, it's 2022. We're halfway through 2019 now. Yeah? How quickly can you build a bunch of 3-star hotels?
Yeah.
It should never have been there in the first place.
Yeah.
Never.